All right, so we are all set up, so let's get started. So we're just going to click resume and get right back into it. So hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. Now last time we left off, we were working on Fulgora to get this holmium processing set up better, because currently it's quite slow and kind of annoying. So we are going to start. We're going to start by working over here, right? So this is the setup to bring in all the input that we need. So these are going to be a bunch of boxes filled with an assortment of items which will be coming out of this recycler. Now, we need to set up sorters over here so that these work properly to drop off the correct items without stack inserters getting stuck. So that is going to be an issue because these recyclers are going to be outputted in sort of a random variety of qualities, which means that we need this sort of setup for all the stack inserters. So we do have the boxes, so it should be fine, hopefully. So if we just grab a decider combinator and we just put it in there, we can read all the output from the box and do it that way. But the trains are also going to need something, right? So that's actually quite the problem. That's something that I had not considered when I was designing this, that the stack inserters are gonna break the trains. Maybe we can just maybe if we use legendary bulk inserters, it'll work out and they'll still be fast enough. Let's think. So how fast is a legendary bulk inserter? So let's go to here, and if we have one of those, it is 12 per rotation and 2,160 degrees per second. What could that possibly mean? So one rotation is 360 degrees. So 2 rotations is 720. So this is 6 rotations per second. 6 rotations per second times 12 per rotation is, let's see, 6 times 12. What is that? That shouldn't be difficult. Why am I struggling here? It's 72. So this can handle 72 items per second on its own. And these... Alright, so yeah, actually legendary bulk inserters should be more than good enough. Now we are going to have to get someone over there to bring those. So you get to add legendary bulk inserters to your list of items, and then Fulgora needs to request those. So we go over here to the cargo landing pad, and we add on legendary bulk inserters. So that should work. And then we just need to get all of these set up to do that. And then we'll have the stack inserters being the output, which should be not an issue. Alright, so those all get placed in, and we're going to need 48 of them, and we're importing 50, so that should be barely enough. And while we're at it, we also want you to bring in some fluid pumps for the electrolyte solution. So let's get all that stuff in. Novice is taking a beating because we upgraded our artillery shell range. Alright, so let's get another set of those in. And that should happen eventually. Right, you should be on your way back to Novice. And then that should be all clear. Let's actually get you moving immediately so that that can start happening as soon as possible. Okay, now we need this to be the same setup as we had down here, right? So we have that. Wait, no, not the stack inserter, the decider combinator. So we copy that, we drag over here, and we paste. So it's just anything is greater than 16, output it. So we need you to read from the box and output to the stack inserter, which will be set filters. Alright, so now we just need to copy paste that block off to all of these, and then the last one in the row is going to need a little bit slightly different positioning just so that it lines up properly, but it should be fine anyways. And these need to get rotated correctly, obviously. And all of these go in. Alright, so that is all in, and now we just need another setup here, where this feeds from there, outputs to there, which has set filters. And then we just need to copy paste this blob across to all of these guys. And then that should be everything once the stuff from outside show up. So those should be making their way over. And now we should have our belts set up properly with full stacks of items, and everything should be good to go. Okay, so next step is to cycle these out. And apparently we need power poles up here for those, so let's get those in. So now we need to take all of these and put them into our rows of EM plants, which are we going to be assuming this is only going to be uncommons and up, and all the commons will be done here? I believe that was the plan. So this stuff just cycles until it's at least uncommon and then sends it forwards into the train. We should have enough space here for that pretty easily. So, in that case, actually let's just copy paste this row, I guess. So how much is this going to be? It's going to be a bit weird to get fully figured out. So we can at least copy paste that much. And then the rest of this will require some thinking. So we have that. This takes there is a second belt in there, which is going to go along, and then these are all the inputs. This probably was set up like that, if I had to guess, but I don't think this will be correct in terms of speed. I think in terms of speed we're going to need a lot more. So let's get that connected up, and we'll actually bring that down. And where's the Spidertron? Get Spidertron over here to help with building if at all possible. And we need a lightning collector in that area for all that to happen. Alright, so Fulgorifast got all of its items and is now heading back. So that shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so now this can all go in, and we're just going to rebuild that lightning collector so that the Spidertron can place it and we get it there immediately instead of having to wait. Alright, so we need all this stuff to get built up with modules and everything. And it should wind up being like this rate. What is going on over in Novice? We're just losing a bunch of construction drones. Okay, so each of these is 17.5 supercapacitors per second and 25.5 green circuits per second. So if it's 25.5 green circuits per second, then the max one lane of this can handle is 240 green circuits, which should be fine because these should never be able to produce more than that anyways. So let's just scale this up to another blob over here. So we just copy this and we paste you a couple more times, somewhere like that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 25. And then let's just get one more in. Okay, there's some weird not quite matching up thing going on here, but this should be plenty. And the Spidertron can go over there and get some of those ready to be built, but we're just going to need to wait for the cliff explosives to show up. Alright, so we have 10 of these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this row is going to be capable of taking a full belt of green circuits and doing what it needs to do with them. So then, halfway down this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is where we need this to drop underground, and then you go in like that so that we can use both sides of the belt on the output side. Okay, so now we need to get these sorted and into this. So some of them are going to be uncommons, and some of them are going to be greater than uncommons. So first of all, we need each of these rows to have their own internal buffer like we did over there, except preferably even larger. So let's see what that is going to look like. Can we just set up one of these just like as compact as we can reasonably make it? and then figure out what it needs to be like how we need to fit all these in. So this is sort of what we're looking at here, and we need probably one more in order to deal with the full throughput. So if we have something like this, that should be able to do all that we need it to. So this then attaches up to one of these outputs, and actually we need this to be corrected so that it lines up properly. So you need to be like that, so we get both sides of the output belt. So we need this, and then we need... How did we have these guys set up? We had some weird stuff going on, basically. The holmium plates and batteries were put on two sides of the same belt, because that was manageable. And then the others got individual belts, green circuits and supercapacitors. So we need 4 of these, right? 2, 3, and okay, but only 2 of them actually need to use both sides of the belt though, right? So we can save some time in here, or save some space rather, with those 2 just going up like that. Okay, now we need to get these inputs going. So this needs to be moved back, I mean, just a little bit really. Let's just put it back to like there. So this output goes into there, that'll be the supercapacitors. This output goes down into there, that'll be the green circuits. And these 2 outputs need to go into both sides of this belt. So this one goes out there like that. This one comes down there. And actually, we need to leave it a bit more space so that things don't overlap any. And you go into there. So these ones will be on the far side of that belt. These ones will be on the near side of that belt. So that should work. And we have plenty of room to expand these buffers if we need to. So this all goes in. And okay. For some reason, this didn't drop off. This picked up the legendary bulk inserters, but didn't drop them off. Why is that? You aren't requesting any. Oh, did I add? I did add legendary stack inserters there instead of bulk inserters. Whoops. Alright, that's annoying. That will get fixed on the next loop through, which is fine. And all of these guys need power poles on either side, which we have plenty of room to do, so we can get those in. And now we just put these input belts up into there, and that should be stage 1 for this uncommon setup. Then we need to worry about taking the output, which actually we don't need to send the output all the way that way. We can just take it out the middle. So let's do that. So this is going to go out. You go back here, and now you both input to that belt, which will give us our supercapacitors. Now let's just get these over. So you go over there, You go up a little bit over there. You go up a little bit over there. Up a little bit and over there. Okay, now we just have these guys just twist around and into the various inputs. And I mean, this is the easiest way to connect them up. We might need to be a bit more careful about how we connect these up in terms of like which train stop is going to be carrying which item. Like currently we've kind of forced it so that let's actually set these filters here, despite the fact that it won't do anything, just to keep track of what they're all carrying. So these two up here, that's this one and this one, are going onto this belt, so they are the holmium plates and the batteries. So these will be filtered to holmium plates of any type, and these will be filtered to batteries of any type, and those get pasted across to there. Alright, so this near belt here, which comes from this row around here, is the green circuits. So you are green circuits of any quality. And then this one is left over, so it will be the superconductors of any quality. So that is that all marked up. So when we get around to repairing the old setup to output into the train, we will just need to make sure that things go in that specific order. And then also this pipe of what's it called, electrolytes, just needs to go up, and it should be able to make it through pretty easily with the help of one single underground belt. Alright, so that should be everything. That should be everything once this is back. Did it successfully drop off the bulk inserters? I think it did. So those 48 missing bulk inserters should be disappearing soon. Right? Yes, there we go. So those can all get built in now. Okay, so next up we need to deal with the recycling from this row. So this is going to be at most 240 green circuits each. So it'll be more like, I mean, it'll be close to what this is, so like 175 supercapacitors, probably a little bit less than that. So how is this in terms of its supercapacitor usage? So these are 1.6 each. So 10 of these would be 160. And then we would have, let's see, if we have 10 of these as 160, and then it would be a little bit, wait, no, it's not 10 of these would be 160. 10 of these would be 16. Okay, so we need a lot of these. We need so many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 48, 70 something. Alright, if we want to be able to take a full belt of recycling, we need a lot more than this. Now, we shouldn't need to necessarily. but we don't want to have serious issues. So let's just start by copy pasting this setup out to here and just popping it over in this area. So you just go in there. We can have those belts just randomly line up with each other. Alright, so that all goes in, and now we are extremely doomed in terms of the supplies we have access to. So Spidertron is carrying a drone port, so let's get that built in immediately. There we go. And now most of those missing items should appear, but we just need so many. We just need such an enormous amount of stuff in order for all this to work. And this might not even be enough recycling for what we're trying to do here. So, we did eventually figure out all the items to build this. So that can get constructed. And it's just got some of these guys, and then this belt runs over and feeds in. And are we really just like that close to the amount of turbo belts? Yeah, apparently. So we also need more legendary quality modules. So let's get fast transport moving over there to drop off some legendary quality modules, which hopefully will be enough for what we need. And all this stuff is getting slowly built up. And here it goes. Now I do want to figure out how I'm supposed to do this whole 1 to 3 thing. So we need to, because currently this splits very unevenly, which is very disappointing. Now maybe if I just go priority left here, would that do something? No, I don't think so. So we need to get... Oh, so I guess the way you would do this is the same way you would do like a 7 in Satisfactory, where we just need this output to loop back into the original turbo splitter, which... Or it could just loop into all of the 3 outputs that we have. Alright, so we have this output here. It needs to first split... No, because it needs to go evenly into all 3, right? That doesn't seem like that accomplishes anything. So I think we do need this to be something that goes into all of these outputs, like back into the original input, which I don't think will break things because of how this works. Because of how splitters work, I think this should theoretically be fine. And we just need another power pole over there to get all of these guys hooked up. Alright, so now fast transport is here, and it has dropped off almost all of its quality modules. Let's just send down a couple more. And then you can start heading back to Novice so that you can pick up more quality modules for the future. We're down to only 60 missing quality modules, so that is progress. And that number seems to be fluctuating strangely. Now it's up to 70 somehow. It's a bit mysterious, but not sure why that happened. Oh, is it because the Spidertron got delivered quality modules? No, it's not that. Okay, I just don't know. I don't know, and it should be fine. Let's just get those guys connected up to the power grid as well. Alright, so this whole thing is now set up, and let's get a drone port over there, because this is like weirdly close to the edge. Okay, they keep going missing. Where are all the quality modules going? Where are all the quality modules going? I have no idea. But it should be fine anyways. I mean, we've got plenty of time for fast transport to go pick up another set. So, these go into here. And that cycles them up. And then out here we get some combination of things which need to go back down this way and things which need to go up here. Speaking of needing to go back down this way, we do need filters on all of these belts to take out the higher quality items. So you are going to be uncommon to the right. Then we need some room for another one like that there, and some room for... Okay, now that needs to go further. So we have you go out and all the way up to there, so we can get another uncommon filter, and then you get another uncommon filter, which we're going to need to squeeze in this way. And then we need to get that last one actually out of this whole area. So you... Let's see here. Each of these needs to be able to escape. So let's start by having you go out there. Then you go out that way. You go out that way. And then this one, you need to not do that, because that would be weird. But we do need this to be, in order just for all the organization to work up, we want all of these to be in the same order as all of these. So we have to do that. And now we have our rows of rare plus going out this way. And so that then adds up to what we're doing up here, which, let's take out some of these ruins. And now we need to get a row of something like this, but smaller probably, for the rares, and then another one for the epics. And you are going to need filters for that, so let's see. Instead of having all of these guys merge up, instead, let's actually have them split out the rarities first. So we will have these split to uncommons and common plus, and then they will all merge up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, right? So you go in there. You go in there. This one comes up to there, and this one comes up to there. Alright, so each of these blobs now has the uncommons going this way, and the better versions going out this way. So is this going to be fast enough is the question. Speaking of the word fast, let's get fast transport heading up again now that you have the remaining quality modules for everything. We need the uncommons to loop back down into this area and just feed back into this. And then we need the rares to head off over this way. So I think hopefully this will be small enough that we can merge up all the outputs onto one belt. Like one belt of uncommons and one belt of rare plus. Hopefully that'll be the case, because otherwise this is going to be kind of a tremendous nuisance. So let's have you. So we have 4 belts that we need to merge, which means we need to do something like that. And then we need each of these to go in, and we need to leave space for the other variant, the rare plus, to go out past it, like in an underground belt. So you now go up like that, and you can as well. And then we can do the same thing again for those. And I got that belt facing backwards somehow. So now each of these goes up. Alright, so now we have 1 belt of uncommons, 1 belt of rare plus, and this is all jumbled up still, so we're going to need to do the filters again. But for now, let's just run this down. And actually, I think the earlier we set up our... No, we run these down and we just sort them up and put them into these inputs here. So this belt goes down this way. And then it just keeps going. Alright, now you get to split out all the different possibilities. So, we have holmium plates, and these are going to need to be specific to the rarities. So holmium plates go in to this one. So those go in here, like that. Then we have batteries, which are going to be going down to here. And then, I don't know what was going wrong with that splitter getting placed. Then we have green circuits, which are going to be going down into this one, which they're going to require a little bit of creative belting to get them around all that, but nothing too crazy. They just go in like that. And then finally we have these ones, the remaining items, which I kind of lost track of what exactly these are. but it's superconductors. So then they need to go down here, and this just barely fits. Actually, wait. No, that does... I don't know why I was convinced we needed to turn at that spot. Alright, so those all go in, and then we get our superconductors back. And all of these are input priority left. So that is all set up. Then we take this belt, bring it down to here for the Rare Plus versions, which we should need a lot less of. And they are going to have their own cyclers, probably. And hopefully that won't need to be as large, though. So hopefully we can just do like a little bit of these for the rare versions. Who knows. So we get this belt going out and then down and then sort of all the way over here. Okay. So, now this belt needs to go in. We need another one of these giant blobs. Okay, so actually, if we just take, like, this all copy-pasted, rotate it horizontally so that it lines up correctly, and we just place it in like here somewhere. And let's actually just have this aligned to the same level as the other one, just for fun. And we're probably going to need a lightning collector in this area. Apparently not, but we will need one up there. And one down there eventually. Okay, so now we need those power poles to connect across so that they can all stop complaining. We need to get rid of that big Fulgoran ruin so that we can see what we're doing here. And those ones as well. And that one. Okay. So now we have all this, and some of these belts are extra belts that we just couldn't quite get out of this, so that all needs to go away. But the rest of this, right, so these belts going up here are our inputs, and these are going to be set to rare qualities like that. And okay, yeah, we definitely got some random nonsense in there, so we can take that out. Okay, so we have all of this. Now, if we just put these in to here, does that work? So this outermost one needs to go up into this topmost one, right? So let's take those underground belts out. So you need to go over to there. And then, because you by default go all the way up top. So then this one here goes to that one. And okay, getting this to line up is actually going to be quite complicated and annoying. So we need you to go underground a bit so that this can fit in there. Then we need these two, and it's just going to be easier for them to cut across immediately, I think. So you go down there and around out to there. Then you go down there and around and not up that way. Go up that way. Okay, so let's see if this works. Oh, we still need to think about the filtering again. But this one, which comes off of this, so this belt here is the holmium plates, and it goes up to the very top both sides. This one here is the supercapacitors, and it goes all the way through there. It's an overly complicated path. We can actually simplify the heck out of that. So you can all go out, and you just go down that way, over there, and then up. Alright. So that aside, all the rest of these should be correctly assigned. Now, we need to take the epics and legendaries off of these belts. So, the same sort of thing. They all get one of these. And we're going to need to move those power poles for that to be extra convenient. And we might as well actually have them all aligned with each other by just for neatness. So now these are output priority filter rares. And then that one needs to be pointing the other way. And we keep losing drones up here. Let's see if we can fix that problem real quick. Just get some of this area to have some lightning collectors in it, just so that it's a little bit more safe. So hopefully that will help. And now you can come back down and continue working on all this. So we have our rares filtered out. Now we need to take these belts out, and so that the epics can escape out. So that goes out, that goes out. This can squeeze out there. And then this top one can, I guess, just straight up wrap around backwards like this. And can we place that lightning collector with one of our own and put it like there. So that all works now. So this belt goes underground to there and across that way. Now I'm pretty sure we've lost the correct ordering here. So let's see here. Let's actually put the specific items on these filters just so that we know. So this one is superconductors. This one here is green circuits. Then this one is going to be the batteries. And this last one is the holmium plates. Okay, so then let's move that chain forwards a little bit. So this one here is the holmium plates. Right, because that's this one, which goes over there and into you. Then, oh boy, emergency on Gleba. Okay, looks like we were successful again. But again, let's just add another one in. And yeah, we can just add the railgun variant in case that helps. So there we go. Those can all get built up. And that should be more secured. Alright, so now back over to Fulgora. The batteries go up into this one. And then the green circuits come down over to here. And then that leaves these to be the superconductors. Okay. So, we have batteries down near the bottom, then superconductors, then green circuits, then holmium plates. So in order to fix that, we just have batteries just loop back up to the top. And we can run all of these across now, and that lines up again. Alright, so now that we have these in, let's get the row of machines set up. So that is like all of this, but we probably only need half. So let's grab you, flip horizontally, and get that placed in. So now you go forwards to there, you come down to there, and this is being fed by green circuits, right? That's like the most important one. And then these two need to go down into there and down into there. Alright, now we set all of these to be rare supercapacitors. Paste the settings across, and that is that. Now, the question is, how much more recycling do we need? Do we need just like a smaller setup? We should need just a smaller setup than that, hopefully. And so for now, let's just get like one lane of recyclers. So if we just copy paste that and pop it in. So you just go in like this somehow. And that ought to be good enough. Then we have to connect those belts up. So we do that. Then these two will be merging on the output side. And then this will be going in up to there. So that all gets built. We might or might not need more legendary quality modules. So let's get Fulgora, no, not Fulgora fast transport. You can head back to Novice and get ready to make another trip. So we just need all this stuff to get built up. And then we'll see what happens from there. So that goes in. And hopefully we don't need to add more recycling onto this setup. So then the last thing we need is if we actually just copy paste like this... No, so we need the stacker and buffer area, and we need the additional row for the epics, and then we just need to sort them up. So, for the stacker area, we take this blob here, just all the way out to there, maybe. Should be enough of it. We rotate you vertically so that we can have this pointed downwards from where we currently are. And then we need to just place you in there. And I think we're going to need to get another lightning collector, which you can just put sort of in the middle of all that stuff. Okay, so this here then needs to get connected up to all of these setups here. So this is still batteries and holmium plates up at the top, but they need to make their way all the way down to the bottom. And also we're losing a ton of drones over this way, including potentially some valuable ones, but not much we can do about that. So these two rows down here, is that copper? That's copper plates, not holmium plates. Lamau. Alright, let's fix that. Your holmium plates. Was this supposed to be anything? Oh yes, this was this belt here. So that was the rares coming off of this recycler. So those go in there, and then this plus the epics coming out of here plus the epics coming out of here all need to merge up. So you need to go over this way and then filter out epic quality. And then that needs to go across and down to here. So then this also filters out. So you filter rare quality out to there. So then the epic quality there and the epic quality here have to merge up. Alright, so let's have you output to that direction. So then that all merges up, and then anything on this belt will be legendaries. So let's just have it rotate up sort of horrifically, and that can all merge up into this area where we'll deal with it eventually. So then we have this here, which is a belt of epics, and okay, what is this? Oh, these two never connected down properly. I see, I never finished that. Okay, so green circuits is this one. So this needs to go down to there. And then this one was the supercapacitors. Oh, this is also set to copper plates. So you need this belt, which just sort of comes down into there, and that's all set up. Okay, so this is a belt of epic quality stuff, and we need to get that down into this area, preferably just into this splitter. And we also need to get all these guys connected up to the correct outputs. So, green circuits come down and go into here. And then the supercapacitors go out and into here. Okay, then we just need to get these inputs into there correctly. So let's tear out some of these convoluted belts in there. So this top one is supercapacitors, which is this bottom one. Okay, so we will start by having that belt go underground for a bit so that this can go up past all of there. And then you just go in to that. Nice and easy. Then this one is the green circuits, which should be here. And so you can actually avoid a lot of this nonsense that you had to do previously. If you just duck underground again and go across to there, that should be everything. Then we have the holmium plates and batteries, which need to go down that way. And I just realized that did not need to go underground at all. Alright, so these are the batteries, and they go down and into this one. So we can take that whole thing out. You just go along like so. Then we have the holmium plates, which go down this way. And then they feed into here. And then that belt goes out. Okay, is this everything? We still haven't filtered out the epics from this area, right? Because that filters out the rares, and then epics and legendaries go through. So there might be legendaries on this which would break everything. So let's try to get those out, and preferably somehow get them up there. Although that's getting a lot more difficult the more we build. So this is going to... How does this work? How does this work? We need you to just have one of these on each one. So what if we just build them in there, 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 and where's this last one? Okay, so this last one is going to need some extra work, but you can get some more space here for you to have a splitter. Okay, so these now are filter epics, and each of them go like that. So then all these guys will be the legendaries left over. And we just need to get them up here somehow. And we also need to get this all set up so that these are all set to be epic quality. And then, what was it? This belt down here, which we just bring along. Please say you can... Yes, you can make that jump. And then you come all the way down here. you just go into that belt. And boy, I sure do hope this will work once I eventually get around to getting it set up. So, that is epics sorted into these buffers. Now we just need to put their actual machines in. So we just copy paste something like this. And then it ought to be just that, right? So we just place that in. I believe that's everything lined up properly. So now it can all get built. And let's put a lightning collector in so it doesn't explode. And that should be nice. So now we just need to get you up. Oh, we also need to get power pole up there so that that's powered up. Now we take this output here and we need to feed it into some recyclers. Hopefully just those recyclers will cut it, and if not, we can use some foundations to expand that up. Or we could... Is there enough space in here to add another blob of items, another blob of recyclers, so that these have their own designated area? Probably not, but it should be fine. Okay, so we take these epics, they go up, and it's going to be way easier if we just merge the legendaries up. They shouldn't be in very large quantities, so we should be able to fit all the legendaries from the entire factory onto a single belt, which will make maneuvering it a lot easier. So those two merge up there, and then they can go underground to there. This can go underground up to here. And Glebe is being attacked again. It was this same area as last time. And it seems to be intact. So yeah, that's not an issue. Okay, so now let's make this an underground belt. Just keep having random drones blow up. That's fine. So now these two can merge. And this can now carry us underground all the way through the rest of this stuff. And then up a little bit. And then underground. And then it can merge up with those. Of course, there's a full-on lightning attractor right there. So that goes out. That goes in. And is our lightning coverage good here? Yeah, lightning coverage is fine. Okay, so now we have all that. We will probably just divide them again. So they've done the job of getting them all into one area efficiently. So now these are going to just sort out the different types of legendary items which we might need. And then these can, for now, just go into some passive provider chests, and then we will work on the like launching and destruction of excess once this is like verifiably working. Okay, how's that electrical pole didn't get built? Okay, there's definitely stuff I'm missing here. This is way too complicated and built all in one go without testing individual chunks of it. So there's definitely stuff which is going to go wrong, stuff that I just, like, belts that I forgot to connect up. So let's figure out where those are by just getting it constructed and then go from there. So you need that to go across, and then this goes across, and then we just have these train tracks just run all the way over to this general vicinity, and then we need to actually set up this, or not, we need to set up this area here so that instead of doing what it currently does, which is do the entire cycling system itself but poorly, you can set it up so that it does a better variant of that. Alright, we are apparently missing elevated rail supports. Now, who would carry an elevated rail support? Fulgora Fast certainly would not. Fulgora Support would. And you are stopped at Novice waiting for some items, but you should come back and deliver... How many of these? 40, and we need 41. Alright, can you do 60 then? Let's just get a little bit more of that coming so that we don't need to worry about that. So that whole rail thing will get built up. And then we need to stare at this until it works. So we still have a lot of items cycling in this area, which makes me think that, like, this last portion here, this is probably going to need to be upgraded a fair bit. Possibly doubled. Probably not a full 3 lanes, but who knows. So, what we need to do is set this up so that only the work goes back and forth with regular old Tier 1 supercapacitors. So it goes back and forth with Tier 1 supercapacitors, and then all the Uncommon Plus just sends into a train station, which it then just brings over to there. So that should be quite simple. And it's kind of incredible that this is still going after all this time. Like, it's been disconnected from its input all stream, and a good portion of last stream, and it's still just going. So, the problem is that we still have all of these supercapacitors, which I was really hoping would be gone by now. Although we have managed to work out a surplus of holmium plates. Is that because we've run out of something else over here, or is this just actually done? That's just actually done, which is cool. Okay, so it turns out that all this was probably extreme overkill in the first place, but it's fine. We're like 90% of the way to finishing it, so we are going to finish it. So, what we need to do is we really desperately need all of this stuff to empty out. Like, there's so many of these guys in here, which are just inevitably going to cause problems. And speaking of that, these supercapacitor outputs aren't full stacked. I just realized that I need to do that. And in order to get that working, we might have to do some of the same stuff we did over there, but here, which is potentially annoying. Do they need to be full stacked? Yeah, they definitely need to be. We can't fit more than like 3 of these. You can barely fit more than like 2 of these on an unstacked belt. Okay, so let's go over here and just copy paste this whole setup here. And so this goes like that. And we're going to need to rebuild a lightning collector, which seemingly should be in there. Alright, so this is... You go up that way now, so that these can all reach up. And then you have your output belt there. Then we just need to continue pasting that. Gosh, this is going to be super weird in terms of just like how all of this stuff aligns. Because some of these are like pointing in weird directions. Alright, so this goes over here. Apparently we are out of turbo belts. Which... That's not just because it's out of drone port range. We actually need someone to show up with more. Alright, you have plenty of these. Can you drop those down? And is Fulgora requesting those properly, or is some weird thing happening? Oh, I see. I see. So this was set to request 60,000, but it can only actually store 50-some thousand without breaking. So let's set that down to 40,000 instead. And then someone please just like... Can we just get some of these thrown into random boxes somewhere? Oh, those are absolutely going to need to be stack inserters in order to get that done anytime soon. Alright, so now with that only requesting 40,000, and I guess we can also just spam out more of those. So that should also solve the problem in a separate way. So that is good. Then those need power poles. Okay, so that should never have problems with the green circuits again. And these, I guess we will connect that across just to make sure that they do eventually get used somehow if there's ever a shortage. That will be input priority left, I think. I don't know, I don't think it matters at all. Okay, so now all those items are successfully being delivered. So that is good. Problem solved. Now, where were we? We were over here. So, now we have this set up. You need to point up and then loop back in like so. This needs to go like that. Okay, so now we have the ability to buffer up like most of these. Oh, you need to have an underground pipe to be connected properly. And you need to just be a regular pipe to be connected properly. As do you. Okay, so that should be fine now, I think. So the supercapacitors go out onto this belt, they get picked up into these buffers, and then sent onto this belt in full stacked form. Then we take this belt down and around a little bit so we can use both sides of it. And then this belt here no longer exists. It's just that belt instead. So that all goes away. And yeah, so these just need to cut back to not go past their specific spots. Alright, then we'll have to see if that's enough eventually. And now we look back over here. This is somehow still going. It's kind of incredible. I guess a lot of it's because it's very wastefully all going on the same side of the belt, so it's very slow. So let's fix that so that we can use both sides. So all we need to do is have, instead of that, you just wrap up to there, and now this is a full belt, which will be useful for the next little bit while this all gets fixed up. So that goes through and should make all of this drain just that little bit faster. And I really want this to be able to successfully drain so that we don't have to have drones pick up tens of thousands of supercapacitors and just shove them into storage chests various places. Okay, Gleba's being hit again. Is it that same spot? Yes, it's that same spot. Of course it is. Okay, is there... I mean, these guys haven't even gotten the chance to shoot, I don't think. The railguns are seemingly quite useless. Okay, what I think we need, though, is I'm noticing we don't seem to have an artillery gun in this sort of general area. So, let's just copy-paste this entire blob and then place it, like, all the way down there. And then get a Spidertron down there to make sure that that actually happened. And then we just need to get this connected up. So I don't know about the exact spacing of drone ports, but it's going to be something like this will be good enough. And then the power poles, we just sort of drag them along however, and then that should be all connected up. And so this forward spot should get built, and we'll have to see if this even works. But ideally, then this artillery gun that we brought in here should wipe out any of the pentapods that come for us. So we just need all of this stuff to get built. We have plenty of foundation. And so just one more roboport until this full thing is in. Apparently a huge amount of stuff to carry away from here. And okay, you were low power just because of just you were charging for the first time ever, not because we are actually short on power grids. Construction bots are doing their thing. This is all going up. And hopefully this gets built before another attack comes, like in this exact location, and destroys it all. That would be an issue. But again, hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, so we were waiting on a couple of foundation for that roboport, and just for a lot of these things in general, but it looks like everything has gotten placed. And we did have a small attack, but the Spidertron was able to handle it, which is fine. Alright, so that Roboport is in now. All the rest of this stuff is almost cleared. So now we just need... Mostly we just need the ammunition to show up for everything. So the artillery turret now has ammo. The rocket turrets are getting ammo bit by bit. And apparently this doesn't see anything, even out here. Which I feel like it should, because considering we've been attacked, and artillery range is very good. But I guess it's fine. So these all have their ammo, that's fine. So that should at least just absorb the attacks now and prevent them from getting quite so close to the base. Now, back over here on Fulgora. This is still going. Boy, is it still going. How much of this stuff have we even gotten through? We've gotten through this first set of steel chests, but there's a lot more to go, and it's going to take absolutely ages to do all of this cycling. I really, really want to be able to dismantle this without the boxes causing issues. Now, okay, here's a thought, which is that this needs to be cycling the tier 1, so we actually don't need to dismantle this stuff. We just need to dismantle like all the rest of this stuff, which unfortunately still has items going through it, which is causing problems. We also have tons of spare holmium plates, so that's certainly not an issue anymore. This is outputting that pretty fast, but we know from previously that even when there's no tier 1s going in, it takes ages to finish off. Okay, let's do another temporary fix we can do to make this run every just little bit faster so that we can dismantle it. Is we have the Spidertron come over here, and it's just gonna run on over, and we just want to have a splitter so that we can also send some stuff into this set, which normally takes the fresh inputs, but it can just take some of this stuff and handle that nice and quick. Alright, so Spidertron is here. Now we go splitter, and do we want to send only the tier 1s up here? Because that's how it's worked in the past. I don't think that should matter. I think we just send you in, and we see what happens. So that'll go, that'll help it drain every little bit faster, counts. And, I mean, these belts are hardly moving. So it's definitely going to take quite a while. And it is very annoying to know that we're going through all this complex process of making the system better when we just have a surplus of holmium plates anyways. But it is what it is. I do want to set up the better version, because this version, like, technically functional, incredibly scuffed. The buffers are too small, it constantly jams. It's just overall not ideal. So let's try to deal with all that. And in the meantime, I guess we can, while we wait for that, we can start setting up our legendary lithium plates, right? So lithium is holmium plates, lithium brine, and ammonia. So all we need to do is just grab a cryogenic plant, just do this exact setup, except instead of regular holmium plates, we send in legendary holmium plates, and then it should just work. So then this will give us legendary lithium plates, which we can then use to make legendary cryogenic plants. So we need an area with ammonia and lithium brine, and access to the cargo landing pad, which shouldn't be a huge issue. So, doing anything here on Aquilo is kind of a nightmare, but we have a belt for legendary holmium plates. Now, you just go, and that's another attack onto Gleba, this time over this direction for some reason. They're certainly getting creative and just sort of attacking from wherever. Alright, so that looks like it's been fully repaired. These railguns are genuinely useless. Like, they just don't shoot fast enough at all, and that you can't even like put them behind walls to protect them. So I guess we need to get legendary railguns in order to use them at all, because that'll give them longer range, which should hopefully let them see the enemies coming sooner. So that should be fine. So this will be our belt, which just goes underground there, and then sort of just across. We just walk over there to use our personal Spidertron for construction. Okay, we need to remember how this even works on this planet. So we need a cryogenic plant, which I don't have in my personal inventory, so I need to go to map mode. So I build one of you, and you have a belt running across, which takes that and then outputs to... You can probably just output to a box. And you are set to make lithium. Actually, no, we don't want to output to a box because we need to actually smelt this up and then get lithium plates, which we can then output to a box. So we have something like this. Then we need to get the pipes in. So you have a pipe. You have a pipe. Then we get heat pipes sort of all the way along this area and into there. Okay. So that is most of that done. Get some power poles in. And that transport belt isn't necessary. Okay, so we need to get this pipe and this pipe all the way over there. So this one is going to be hard because I just have no line of sight. Like, there's no easy place to put the underground pipe. I guess we need to somehow disconnect all of this slightly. So if we tear that out, build that down there, tear that heat pipe out and put it there. Now you can get an underground pipe which takes you over to there, and then you loop around like that. And then this belt needs to go underground a bit so that the heat pipe can go in. Right, so we have all that. And are we genuinely out of concrete now? Yes, apparently. Alright, so you... Are you not even asking for concrete? Alright, let's ask for a whole bucket load of concrete, and then someone probably delivers that. Let's see here. You only stop by Vulcanus, so you're not going to get concrete. Oh, this is the manual setup one. Alright, well, you can head over here, because you have a bunch of useful stuff. Aquila Support 2 is sort of the main one. So let's get you to automatically bring those. And that should get sorted out for the most part. And then we also need someone like you. Yeah, so you stopped by Fulgora, so you can now pick up a couple stacks of legendary holmium. And I guess you can bring a full rocket load of it. Although we will need to work on expanding the cargo capacity of this in order for that to work. You don't currently have enough belts to do much redesign. But if we just have you go down... Oh, not turbo belts. Slow belts are necessary for you right now. So if we just have you go like that, then we can fit another couple cargo bays on. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit. Okay. So, we are missing the concrete to finish this off. But we can do the lithium pipe as well while we're here. So that will go underground, over to there, underground again, over to there, and then connect up like that. Then the heat pipe attaches to that, and that should be everything sorted. So, then you are going to get the best productivity modules, and you're going to get a good speed beacon with the best speed modules, and that should get you... I mean, this should be single-handedly all the lithium that we need, in theory. And I just realized this wasn't even set to legendary lithium. So let's make sure that happens. Okay. So, once everything shows up, and we're going to need to get you... You are going to need to request legendary beacons, legendary speed modules, legendary productivity modules. What else? Probably just those for now, as just things which you plan on bringing out to Aquilo. And then we add those onto the list of things that Aquilo requests, as well as the legendary holmium, which that goes in, and then we need legendary speed, and let's just go 50 of each for now. It's just a good starting number, and 50 beacons, and that should be all that we need. Does this place not even automatically get heat pipes? That seems like an oversight. Let's pop those in there. So then Aquilo support 2, you can automatically obtain the heat pipes. Alright, so that should be that. It says there's thousands available on planet, but none on the way. I guess that's just because the rocket fuel and low density structures are taking up all that space. Alright, that's fine, probably. Now, okay, wait, I just realized we can cut this off. Because this... Oh, wait. No, that water pipe does need to continue existing. But maybe if we're clever and we have a couple spare pipes, we can push it out a little bit there so we can fit another one of you in. Alright, so now we can get 4 more cargo bays, which should give us the space we need to do all this stuff. And at some point we're going to upgrade that to a better one. Now, over on Aquilo, this is mostly set up properly to make regular old lithium, but then we need lithium plates. So legendary lithium plates are just electric furnaces, nothing fancy. So let's get an electric furnace or 2, and they can have another legendary speed beacon between them, just for all of that stuff. And then they get productivity modules. Then this belt will go forwards, feed them from there, and then they output over to there, and then that can all just go into a passive provider chest. Alright, now we need to do the heat pipes. So we take this heat pipe, wraps into there, and then wraps around this way through all of that and into there, and then a little bit across to there, and that should be lithium plates done. Unless it needs a ton of machines. How fast does one machine go? So this one, even with much worse modules and everything, is still 1 per second. So with the legendary modules, it should be way more than that, so that should be fine. Let's look back over to Fulgora, where we seem to be sort of back under control, where all of these belts have mostly emptied, and now we're just getting like a full belts output from these guys up here, who are they not even, they're not even stacked, so that's super inefficient. And I mean, they're kind of just going at full speed. I don't know why we forced these onto one side of the belt for a very specific reason, but I think that reason doesn't apply anymore, so let's just let them have free reign of everything, so that if they can go a little bit faster, then that will happen. So this is all going. We're now 122 concrete short up on Aquilo, and Aquilo support 2 still hasn't even gotten to novice to pick up concrete, and let's boost that up to like 500. Hopefully you should be able to deal with that. But Aquilo support, the original, the manual one, is just about there. And so that should be able to supply the concrete that we need to get that going, and then the legendary holmium will show up when it shows up. And that shouldn't be an issue. Alright, back over to here. It seems like most of the problem is sort of just locked up in these machines here, which are just slow. Like, these buffers here are where most of the resources are sticking. Now, can we make this any faster? Probably not. And if that's how fast that goes, these ones have double speed modules compared to these ones with singles. So it'll be a little bit faster, and we have 5 rares instead of 4. But we still might need... Oh, and I just realized that these ones are the epics, which we just never changed from when we copy-pasted them. So we need to do that. But we might need to expand these lines a little bit in order to keep up, which will be one of the many things we have to experiment with once we finally get this setup running. And it looks like these are mostly okay, but they do definitely still have items in that one. And there's a lot of uncommons in there. Gleba is being hit again. Okay. This time, they just sort of bulldozed through one of my weaker setups. Fortunately, there's a Spidertron right there to finish it off. But yeah, we're going to need to do something about all of these pentapods. Now, I would have hoped that this would have distracted them enough that they wouldn't come back to here. But apparently that is not the case. Apparently they just love to just walk straight past these sorts of things and into this area. So, I guess we just have to expand this out even more. Like, eventually, these will be built farther enough out that the artillery will actually see the edge of the spore cloud, and then we'll be fine. So, let's just start working on that. So we just need to run a whole bunch of drone ports out this way, and I just remembered the Spidertrons here are not designed for construction. I never got around to it. Alright, so this all has to get built up. Of course, this is a giant lake, because it would just be too convenient if it were at all traversable without foundations every 5 inches. Okay, so that is like the optimal spacing there. So now we can bring the power poles down, and if we just copy paste this, then that should work to get us plenty of range down towards this corner. And we just paste that again, and we just keep going. So this will all get built up slowly but surely, and we are not like running low on beacons or anything, so that should be doable. Okay, so now you need productivity modules, which, alright, you are set up to provide, but you just hadn't gotten around to it yet on Aquilo. And you are requesting those. Alright, so that should be fine. Oh, I need to get heat pipes out to that beacon. That will be a job for later. In the meantime, let's just keep on bringing this out. And we're going to want to bring it out pretty far so that we can definitely reach the edge of the map. Now let's just have the Spidertron sort of explore forwards to see if we can find the edge of the spore cloud, just how far away it is. It can't be that much farther, right? Like, we're so far out. Okay. So it's right there. That's the edge, all the way down there. And so if we actually just explore around in this area, we'll find this like specific egg raft that's been attacking us. Yeah, there's the guy. Okay. We don't actually want to fight you because this is one singular Spidertron. Okay, but this should be workable. So we just need to, if we just copy paste like that entire blob, and then just like place you in like that, will that just get us all the way out to this general vicinity? And then we can put down one of our sort of artillery outpost type things, and hopefully that will clear out any attacks from this corner forever. And then this side we'll have to do something similar with eventually. Alright, so Spidertron. So this is just a continuous setup, right? You haven't gotten powered yet, but we do have drone coverage all the way out to here. So let's just get the final thing placed. So where does this chain end? It goes all the way down to here. This is probably too far out, actually. I'm not sure the exact optimal place to put our setup, but yeah, we might as well just put it out here. It'll be fine. It's going to take quite a while to build, but it is what it is. Also, the railguns are probably going to be mostly useless because the attacks could come from just about any direction down here. So we'll get that set up and then just ignore it for a little bit. So now this needs power poles, and it needs this T-pipe to just wrap around there. And Aquilo says it's low on concrete again. It's definitely... We definitely dropped off, like, a bunch of concrete, right? Oh, it's all going into building something, isn't it? Yeah, it's getting sent into this. Alright, we can... yeah, let's just disconnect that. So we have actual spare concrete instead of just constant supplies going into that and just being wasted. Alright, so that then gets power pole. And aside from the missing productivity modules, this is all set up and theoretically could function to produce legendary lithium plates. Okay, over on Fulgora, this loop is still continuing. It's really impressive how long this lasts. But it looks like it's starting to peter off now. At least a little bit. It's not going completely insane 24/7 like it was. We did get up to most of a belt, most of a box of holmium plates, so that's good. Now, was it Aquilo Support 2 who's going to be... Yeah, that's most of a box of legendary holmium plates with 1,000 picked up by a bus. Alright, so over on Gleba... Alright, they managed to find their way in here somehow. And destroy a whole bunch of stuff. Thank you, pentapods. Very cool. So now we just have to wait for that all to get repaired. It looks like we have the resources to do the repairs, so that's not an issue. Just a bit of waste. And then eventually this will get constructed and hopefully wipe out whatever is causing those attacks, unless it's like up here and we're still out of range or something. But hopefully this deals with everything. Okay, we're apparently short on walls, but that is swiftly getting fixed. And all of these guys, it's so fun watching the massive clouds of drones just fly through. So this is going to get built up. We have power out here already. We're just missing ammunition mostly, and a couple of the power poles to connect up the front row of lasers. And apparently this railgun turret's requester chest isn't within range yet because that roboport is down. So that should be fixed now. Lasers are active, so we're not completely defenseless out here. Now we are just waiting for missiles. How many of these do we have? We do not have that many rockets. How is rocket production going? Is it just one of those things where the stockpile is small, but we have this constantly going? Yeah, we have this constantly going. That should be fine. I might set the stockpile a bit higher just to make sure. So you can stockpile up to that many rockets if you ever get the opportunity to do so. And we also ran through most of our rocket turrets as well. Alright, so this is all getting built. A whole bunch of drones are just out here charging, which is going to take them a while. But the first couple rockets show up, and the artillery gun hasn't even got its requester chest yet, which is good, because that means hopefully we'll have a lot of rockets out here by the time this starts triggering counterattacks. So that is all going. These guys are desperately charging up massive clouds of drones. And most of the turrets have rockets in them now, so we should be not entirely defenseless. Although the sheer number of drones here kind of makes me nervous. Like, if we get a counterattack and all these drones are hanging out here, it's going to be an absolute massacre. But I don't think we can put legendary stuff this far out, because like it's just going to get... It's very, very possible that that'll just get destroyed by pentapod attacks. Alright, so let's just see. Our radar is giving us vision now, which is nice. So that is just scanning along. And if we got legendary radars, we could do even more, as always. But this should be fine for now. Legendary artillery turrets would have better range, which is something that might be hugely useful for us, so that we don't have to go all the way out here every time. Okay, back to Fulgora. This is still doing its thing. These boxes should be lower than they were, but they've still got a ton of stuff in them. Still got a ton of stuff in those boxes, that's for sure. So, how long will that take to clear up? It's probably a very long time at current rates. I wonder if we just like remove the productivity modules just specifically to make this less efficient so that it goes faster. That's kind of a crazy idea, but let's do it. Let's take the productivity modules out. So it'll be less resource efficient, which means that it should wind down sooner. And we're just going to do this for these ones up here, which are the ones which need it the most, I think. So that all goes out. And because these ones aren't even running anymore realistically, so they don't really need the help. So these are just about the same resource demand as they were before, but they produce way less output, which should hopefully cause this to wrap up so that we can get moving on reconstructing this. So off they go. Yeah, it's kind of crazy the difference it makes. Like, these are 7.3 per second. These are 17.5 per second with like only marginally higher resource demand from the extra beacons. It's a huge difference. So that should theoretically mean this runs out way faster. And these should be receiving less inputs because their recycling is worse. And this one up here seems to mostly be out of batteries. What's this one going to run out of? Are you going to run out of holmium plates? Yeah, looks like that one might run out of holmium plates first. So let's just continue to let this run. And over on Aquilo, have we gotten any legendary holmium plates yet? Oh, I think we are just receiving them at this instant. So we've got all sorts of stuff dropping. Now this is going to be inefficient because we haven't gotten our legendary productivity modules yet, but those hopefully will actually just get down at around the same time and get placed in. Alright, yeah, there we go. So those are in. Now the holmium plates are coming down. And we should start to see lithium plates. Unless I have done something wrong, which apparently I have. Oh, I see. I'm missing a little bit of heat out this way. So that should get the lithium brine into here. And now these are running. So this makes 9 per second. These guys take like 2 per second each and produce like 4-ish per second. So yeah, this is definitely good enough. Let's just get another speed module over here just for the sake of fast production. But this, I mean, it's almost 0 holmium plates. Like 0.6 to 9 is crazy when like the thing that we need only needs like 20. So that's like, and we also get another doubling here. So yeah, lithium plate supply is totally solved now. So we can get legendary cryogenic plants mostly free. I mean, we need legendary superconductors and some other legendary stuff. But yeah, mostly not an issue. Now this is somehow still going. But it looks like you are almost entirely out of holmium. So we're very nearly done now. So you're going to run out of holmium any second now. And that's just going to propagate through. And then whatever is remaining, we're going to have to dismantle, but that's fine. That's what we expected. Alright, so we will start... Actually, we're going to start by placing a whole bunch of storage chests, just like right over here. So can I just get a giant blob of those in, right on site, so that we don't need to carry things all the way across the planet unless it's absolutely necessary for some reason. Okay, now we just tear most of this down. The tier 1 outputs we can keep, but like all of that stuff can go, and probably some more stuff as well on top of that. Okay, so this was actually part of a tier 1. Okay, let's actually just dismantle all of that, and we ate the drone port. That's not good. Just get another drone port in right next to the current one. Alright, Spidertron is helping. Drone port hopefully will be back in once the Spidertron gets around to doing that. Or some construction drone does. This is technically all in the region, even without that Roboport, so not like the queued up shouldn't be cancelled. 408 entities missing construction bots. Yeah, a lot of the Roboports up that side are no longer powered. We do have our connection all the way around this way, but that is something which I should have paid more attention to. Okay, so this section up here also needs to go, but I'll let the drones do what they're currently doing before we move on to even more work. Alright, so this is all getting dismantled. We have 0 out of 859 construction drones currently available. Do any of these guys just like carry more construction drones? Yeah, you do. Alright, can we increase the supply of construction drones into the drone port? So if you ask for 50 construction drones, then we can maybe bring some of those in. And hopefully that will... Okay, now it says we have 2,000 up there, but only like 800 down here. No, okay. I don't know why I thought it only said 800. That must have been on Gleba or something. Okay, we still want all this space to be... we still want that to be connected across. We still want this space to more or less be lightning covered. So let's get those in. And Spidertron is not having a good time right now. I think that's all of its construction drones out there are unable to fill its inventory. Alright, so we need to set all types of batteries as zeros. So those should have moved into the trash slots, but they didn't, which is concerning. So how's this thing over on Gleba doing? We have the gun. It was aimed at something or other at some point, so that theoretically should be dealing with everything. Now back over to Fulgora. We have some of these guys over here are still missing construction drones. And now we just have to wait for all of this stuff to happen. And it is just a waiting game at this point. We've done all we can for now. So every construction drone is active. They're mostly just charging up at that roboport. We can make it a little bit better in theory if we connect those top roboports back up to power lines so that things can charge up here as well instead of just over here and over there. So there's still some of these just giant boxes filled with junk that we need to deal with. Set all batteries to 0. So that should be happening, but it isn't. Let's get the Spidertron to just run up to somewhere which should be closer to empty out its inventory. So now most of the just like random assorted items are going to be down, and it's going to be mostly the boxes left, because taking out thousands of green circuits takes time. So this just keeps going. And the Spidertron is up here. And I assume it's just not charging fast enough. So it has 2 Roboport Mark IIs, which are the better versions, but it doesn't have like legendaries or anything. So it's going to be a little bit limited on that front. But at least we have some inventory space now. At least a tiny little bit. And most of the inventory space in this Spidertron is just taken up by like construction materials, which is not ideal because it means we have very little space for picking up junk. So, what can we drop? We don't need stone bricks. We can drop express transport belts, probably. So if we just cut both of those down to 0s, this will make it a little bit more annoying if we ever have to build with those, but it should be fine. We're not going to cut power poles off, but we are going to limit them to exactly 50 at a time, so that we can go down to 1 stack. And we should be doing the same with big electric poles as well. Just store exactly 50 of those. And you don't need that one random substation. And a lot of this stuff we do kind of need in large quantities. Rail supports, you can go down to just 2 stacks. And you can throw away some rocket fuel and some plastic. You don't need that. Some random legendary iron and copper, which definitely can go away. Who knows how long that's been in there. That's the legendary copper that we need to be getting rid of. And we can set this. So we take all of those out and then just replace it with one singular quest for any quality of green circuits. Clear those out. And that should hopefully be enough of an improvement for the Spidertron to be able to kind of help a little bit. So now you can head back, and yeah, it's just to the point of the couple random boxes. So Spidertron showing up should help a lot with that. Although apparently this Roboport was only in range for some of these. And we need the lightning collector to extend out a little bit further. Alright, so Spidertron can do some of that work. And then it can head over here to pick up all these green circuits. And superconductors, apparently. So that will accelerate you up by a huge amount of time spent unloading that belt, or that box, rather. Alright, so superconductors acquired. And now you can then run up to somewhere that's storing superconductors to drop them off there. And hopefully that should make your trip a lot faster. Okay, so now we just need to dismantle this whole area. And we're going to try and avoid the lightning collectors and drone ports if possible. And we will leave these boxes up here. For now, at least. We should be able to just work around those. And now we've gotten right back to the same spot we were in a moment ago, where we really desperately need more drones. And those power poles, those drone ports up there aren't even connected or in range for that matter. So we actually need the Spidertron to go over and build some of that stuff. And you are emptying out all of those, but I don't even know where they're going. So they're going up this way to a storage chest somewhere, but I don't know where. If I knew where, I could just park the Spidertron directly next to it and have it go quite quickly. But I'm not sure where it is. But I know it's up this way, so Spidertron can run up that way. Alright, so Spidertron goes up here. It's probably just all the way up to these storage chests. Yeah, that's where you're going. Taking them up to there. So Spidertron can make that trip, and then should be able to unload its inventory much faster by physically being there. So off you go. It's gonna take a little bit for you to get there. Alright, and here you are. So now we can do this. And okay, there's a huge burst of activity there. Not sure why. And now you're back down to being stuck again. At least we still have power, so that's not the issue, at least. I really probably should have gotten like legendary portable reactors and stuff. Actually, did I do that? I might have done that. No, I don't think I did, because I didn't want to mess with all the nuclear stuff. I think this is all the stuff I have for those. Yeah, so that's fine. So you are now just draining, and it seems like you're working reasonably quickly to do so. Again, just because you're directly next to the box that they're all getting dropped off in. And then we're going to have you run back down to get all this stuff constructed. And it was this island down here. And our drone area, if we get if we put that there, it'll fit in the previous one and then power up that one. And then we should have something. I don't know if these roboports will connect up or not, so let's actually just put another one up there. Alright, now our drones are mostly back to normal. So let's get Spidertron right back down there to do more of this work. And it's not going to be super fast because it has a long journey. But it'll get there eventually. Alright, so now that Roboport should get this whole area covered. Even though these ones aren't powered. So that is that. And fortunately the boxes here were less overfilled than the other ones were. So the Spidertron should be able to wipe this out just pretty much immediately. Okay, you walked too far past, so you can just stand there. And your drones are going real slow. Why is that? Is it just a charging problem? Must just be a charging problem. Or they got stranded somewhere else on the map. That's also possible, I guess. Okay. So, we have all this. And we need to get the redesign going now. So, these output a wide variety of items, all of which just go back into here. And they go into both of these sets. Then, how many of these did we have? We can probably get another copy of this in over here where it previously was. And then we have 2 of these going just to accelerate that a bunch. So we have plenty of uncommon end-up ingredients for all of this. Alright, so let's see if we just copy-paste you all the way out to there, rotate it horizontally, and then place it in, I think it was just like this, right? This is just how it was previously, approximately. So we just put that into there, and so then this is our belt of assorted junk, which comes out of here. Commons go into there, and then they get crafted up, which we're going to need to... We're going to need to do more on the buffers in here, because these are the ones which need the buffers the most, and they also have just the worst buffers. Okay, yeah, so let's actually take all of this section out, which is, I know, going to require even more dismantling of various items. And apparently we caught the lightning collector in there, so you can go back so that nothing explodes. So all of this stuff goes out. Everything out to, like, there-ish. And Spidertron still has space. So then that also goes out. Alright. So this should be mostly back to where we need it. Approximately. It's certainly not fully there, but pretty good. That pipe and these belts don't need to exist, so we can wipe them all out. And that is going to need to get connected back up. So that is connected back up. Now we have this. So we have a whole bunch of items coming out here. And then the commons go out this way. And the uncommons then go out to somewhere else. Then these two belts here are the uncommons. So we're going to have them go out to somewhere else. And that will connect up to the eventual train station where we deal with all that stuff. Now the commons wind up on this belt here and this belt here. So we need to split out that belt into all of its different items. And can we actually just copy paste the way we did that over here if it was convenient? So we had like this whole block. Let's actually grab this one up here because it's in a more convenient spot. So we grab this entire block and just copy paste it back over here. And it goes in something like this. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that ought to be close enough. So that's all going to go in. Now, we need to sort the output from these items into this entire setup. And we also need all of this dismantling to take place, which our Spidertron apparently just simply does not feel like doing. Thank you, Spidertron. Very cool. Alright, then we have these all connect up. So this belt here goes down into there. This one goes down into there. I cannot, for the life of me, see what's going on because there's all these other items here which we're waiting on being dismantled. And not even entirely clear if anything's actually doing that. Let's get a drone port down there because this whole area is technically a small dead zone. So we can do that. And gosh, this is very distracting. There's a person with a very entertaining car outside, and it's just very distracting. I'm sure they're having fun. Okay, so that goes in like that. That I think is all of the outputs correctly set up. And now if our drones can finish this off, then we'll be able to see. But then we need this to split off a bunch of times. And we got artillery shell shooting speed, which I can't imagine it matters, but we have it now. So you need to filter out those to the right. So then this loops back around to that way. Then you filter out... What did you do? Then we get another one of those, and you filter out green circuits to the right, and those just go into there. Then we have another one, which I don't know why I keep doing that. Filters out batteries to the right, which just go into there. And then the remains go up to there. Alright, so that's all connected up. Whatever this is that's been taking 10 years to finish is finally getting there. And I don't know what could have possibly been taking it this long. But there we go. That's all set up. And you need to connect across to that. Okay. So, assuming that these all merge down to one belt, which is a very bad assumption, then it should be fine. Now, what happens if they don't? What happens if all of these don't merge down to one belt? How do we do that conveniently? So we can take this and just feed it into there, and then the supercapacitors would get sorted out before these guys get attached in. But actually we really want the green circuits out first if we're doing it like that, because they are a big portion of the issue. So what if we make you green circuits, we make you superconductors, and then we just have these two belts here just swap places in what they output to. So this one just goes down to there. This one just goes across and into there. So now that's green circuits, which means that if we put wait, we need to filter everything out to commons first in order for that to work. So like you have uncommons on that belt because it hasn't been filtered yet. Okay, but this can also just be... Wait, can it? Yeah, it can, I think. This won't break anything. So if that filters commons out to the right, then the commons from this one go up here and not down here. Okay. Does that work? I feel like this is just getting too clever to try to fit it all on one belt, and the actual solution is to just sort these guys out earlier in the process. So what if we take all this out, and instead of doing that, we... Okay, let's take all this out, and we're going to have plenty of space, right? Yeah, let's... What we need to do is get all of these belts just sort of combined up in a sensible way where they can all coordinate, and then sort them all individually, which is going to need more space. So we cut that, and we just like paste it up there somewhere. And then we need to get a lightning collector in, which presumably the Spidertron will do once it's done with all that stuff. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, then that lightning collector up there should finish off the coverage. Okay. So, you can take all of this stuff out, and just take all of this stuff out. Not that power pole, though. Just all these belts which are doing the organization process. So all of this goes away, and we are just going to redesign it from scratch without trying to jam it onto all that baggage. So we can dismantle everything along there. And what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 belts. Oh, we did eventually figure out what I think will work to distribute things evenly to the various rows here. So let's just get that in there and make sure that that doesn't accidentally reconnect, because that would cause some chaos. That goes in there. So this should, in theory, distribute the input evenly to the different rows. So all of these belts should be even, I think. And I feel like that power pole is supposed to be connected there. Yeah, that power pole is probably supposed to be connected there. Alright, so now we have all this. And hopefully that power pole is in so that these don't constantly start blinking. So, okay. Yeah, Gleba, this whole thing got attacked. Of course it did. And we lost, apparently, one specific power pole, which is just the most important power pole on the planet. Let's get a whole bunch of additional power poles in, just so that hopefully that doesn't happen again, where this entire thing gets deactivated. That is quite annoying. Alright, so we do that, then we're back over to here. So we have this is like half an output. This and this are full outputs. These two are half outputs. And so yeah, basically the edges are half outputs, including these bits which are edges. So I think step one is combine these half outputs together. So these go together first and foremost. So then that is one full output alongside that and that. Not you. So this gives us 3 full outputs, which is what we expect, right? And then we just do the same thing over here. That one random battery got on there somehow. And a couple random green circuits got on that one somehow. Alright, so then let's do the same thing here, where this one just goes across to connect up with this one. So you just go like that, and then these two merge up and point out that way. Okay, now we actually want you to be one further up for spacing purposes, I think. So you go in there, and now we can run underground belts down here when we want to. Not sure why that was necessary here, but not there. I thought they'd be symmetrical, but must have just been because I had these both pointing to the left. Okay, so then that output goes across, that output goes across, and that one is fake, so we'll dismantle it. So now we have 6 equivalent belts, which are each like 24 recyclers worth of output. So now that we have all of that, we need to figure out how much of this we can handle in one, like, can we merge these down into 3 batches of 2, for example? So, if we have, let's say that we have a full 240 supercapacitors going through here, and I don't think that's even possible with this setup. I don't think we have enough. But, yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know how the numbers work out, but let's just say we do, right? And each of these large sections has 240. So then that's one full belt of green circuits, half a belt each of holmium and superconductors. So we would need 3 full belts each, if that is how many supercapacitors we had. Well, we would need 2 full belts plus a little bit extra. So we can't crunch these down further than the 3 they are currently at. That's impossible. So instead, let's bring them all into one area. So if we have 6 belts, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we need each of these to sort out each item, right? And there's going to be 2 full belts of green circuits, 1 full belt of holmium plates and supercapacitors, and then 1, like 2/3 of a belt or something, half a belt maybe, of batteries. So how do we do this in a reasonably efficient way? So we could do it like this, right? So we have you filter out green circuits, then you filter out superconductors, then you filter out batteries, and then whatever is left is holmium plates, right? So if we just do that, then this is actually very similar to the setup we have up at the scrap recycling area, obviously, because it's sort of similar in that we have a whole bunch of different types of items that we need to all sort out. So let's see if we can actually just recall what we did up there. So we had this sort of setup. We had 1, 2, 3. We only had 4 rows there. We're going to have 6 rows here, but it should work out about the same. So each row sort of cascades down in a diagonal bit and merges up with the row next to it. Okay, so we head back down to this. If you're like that, then the next one, we need to leave space. So if you go like this, and then across, and then merge up. So something like that would get all the green circuits down to 1 belt. And if we just did this in 2 batches of 3, then we would get our 2 belts of green circuits. Okay, so let's get these settings pasted across, and then those go across, and then the final outputs of the holmium go up this way before merging. You can have all the merges happen on that line just for consistency's sake. So we have this, and this, let's see here. So this merges 2 of them up, as long as that belt continues on forwards. And now what we need is to get the 3rd in. We need these guys to have splitters. So this goes back, I think just 1 should be enough. No, you're going to need to go back 1 more, at least. Alright, so now you get those mergers in. The belts connect across. And now if we have another row of this, obviously, but I think it needs to go down here. Grab some space from that area. So if you are there, then this should work, right? So that goes across there to connect up with the green circuits. That goes across there. You go across there. You go across there. That's 3 belts organized up, and they should be in the clear now. So then we just need to copy all of that, rotate it, and we need to dismantle more of this to get space. So that all goes away. So then you get copied and placed into there. And apparently we don't have enough splitters on the Spidertron for that, but that's fine. Okay, so now all of these connect in, right? So you go up to there. You go up to there. You go up to there. Then we have this one come over and go in there. This one comes over into there. This one goes into there. Okay, so first of all, we can shove this down a bunch. This doesn't need to be as far up as it is currently, so that we'll definitely do that to save a bunch of space. So you can pretty easily go down to there, I think, without breaking anything. So that all gets built up. And now we have all these guys set up and ready to go. So now, let's move that lightning collector down slightly so that's not in the way. So now we just need these guys to connect up into these buffer chests and construction rows, which is gonna be a bit complicated. Also, we are going to need these to be any quality because we have not filtered out the quality yet, because I want to do this sorting before all of that stuff anyways. So we just copy paste that across, then rotate that one. We copy paste you across, get the rotated version, copy paste it, then we get you, get the rotated version, copy paste. Okay, so that will give us our items of all the various qualities they might be, and then those just go out, and these can actually double as our rarity filters. They're also doing the merging up, but they can filter out the rarities like that. And now we get our commons, which go along this way. And so the commons need to go into this. This is going to need to be shoved over further into the ocean. This is going to need to be completely redesigned. Or, no, this should just be able to shove further into the ocean as well. Okay, so we grab this whole area, we send you over this way, and we try to line you up like that. And now all of that building happens. Power pole gets connected. So that will all get built up. Okay, so now all of this is going to be ever so slightly different in terms of what we're feeding into this. So we need this. We lost one of the rows. Okay, so we need to copy paste you, place you down there. Okay, so we have green circuits. Those should go right across into here. Then supercapacitors are this one. So they go up into there, and then this output comes down there, loops around and into there. Then we have batteries, which are this output, which goes up to there. Then we have our holmium plates, which is this output, which just goes up to there. Okay. So that is that side, and it should get all built up. We can save a couple hundred foundations by dismantling some of this stuff that we're not likely to use. And that will all just slowly get pieced in as it needs to. Now we need to just dismantle all of this and then do a different copied version. So that all goes out. Then let's copy this, bring it over to there, rotate horizontally, and build. Alright, so then we have green circuits, which just go across, supercapacitors, which go up to that row, batteries, which go up to that row, and holmium plates, which go up to that row. Then the power connects across like so. And this should be mostly correct, I think. And that is all what we expect it to be. Okay, so now we have this. We need to get the uncommon plus out the top side where they're going to be going up to a train station. And we're missing a whole bunch of items apparently. Okay, so we also we need some drone ports out here to connect across. So that can all go in, and I think we got in one too many, but that's fine. So that one will get built, hopefully connect up to one of these ones, and then we'll be good. So, okay, that drone port is in, and that, it's gotta connect up to this, right? Yeah, it says it does. Okay, so then that one will be unnecessary once this gets built, but we'll let it get built first. Okay, now we just have a couple of these weirdos which are currently not in range of a useful drone port. Get those connected up properly. Get that powered. Alright, so now we should be all back to normal in terms of drone stuff. Okay, so the next thing we need to look at is the outputs to these. So your output sort of wraps around and is here. Your output wraps around and is there. So that should be fine. We can just connect those back into here, and this should be good. So let's get these all need to go underground for a bit. It's actually going to be kind of tricky to get all these out successfully. So all of these go underground for quite a while. And then these belts go up and over. Okay, so we actually need this to be a little bit more compact. So you need to go up like that so that this can go up like that. Alright, so now that we have that, let's see, you go across to there. So you come out that way, you come out that way. Alright, so that is our 4 uncommon plus outputs for this. So they are just going to go up past that lightning collector, and they're just going to go up to a train station that we build somewhere up there. But before they do that, they need to meet up with these guys, who are, I think, going to have a slightly easier time of it. So you can wrap around like that. You can wrap around like that. And then into there. You can just go immediately underground. Actually, you can't because of the spacing. So, okay, this is actually going to be quite difficult then. This is actually going to be quite a problem. So this belt needs to go out this way. But maybe we need to shift this entire thing one over to make space. Alright, so what if we just grab all of this and we put it like... If we put you like there, can we still get this connected up properly? Alright, so you are the first input row, so you are the green circuits. You go into there as normal. Our superconductor output is this one, which... Okay, yeah, we need to take a bunch of these belts out. You need to go down this way, a little bit further over, and then down. And then from here, you can wrap around into that. So then superconductors are good. Then we need... These two should be straightforwards. We have this output comes down like that. And now we just need to squeeze it in this tiny gap into there. And I think that is everything. So now we just have to connect these input belts across. And now we should have enough space to do some funky things. So you go underground to there, then up, then over, and now you're in. And you can just go over, and then up, and then over. Alright, and now we have all of those, and all of those. Alright, so I think this is where we're going to be wrapping up for the day, because it is just about when I end the stream normally. So next stream, we just need to connect these... We need to connect these uncommon belts up to a train station up here, which connects into those. Then we connect these return belts into this area, which we're going to need to probably spend some time fiddling with. And that should theoretically be all that we need to do for the legendary Holmium plate supply. Like, if we can just manage that, we should be in the clear. Let's also get that connected back up again. Just because power poles around here keep breaking. We've got to keep fixing them, otherwise I'll forget, and it'll be a huge issue later. Alright, but yeah, that is that. So we're going to wrap up there. I'll be doing Factorio again on Monday, as usual. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in various factory building games, make sure to stop by then. Give me a follow if you haven't already, so you know when I'm live. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks, Eb, for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.